Alrighty, guys. ID Jester here. We're going to be going over setting up your very first scenario in Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, obviously by Lock and Load Tactical System, Lock and Load Publishing. And you can see here, actually over the shoulder, late pledges are available if you missed out on the game found when this came out, Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. You can still pledge late and get yourself a copy of it. So head over to the Lock and Load website for that information. All right. So my version was actually sent early. So we've kind of just going over some stuff to kind of prep you guys for when your games arrive, kind of showing you some stuff. So what we're going to show you now is setting up the scenario. This, again, is something new and created for this version of the game. You're going to see I have a whole bunch of different pieces here with has these little soldiers on the back, and then we got a whole bunch of ones that are just blank on the other side. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go again. I'm going to be showing you guys the first scenario of the book. If you don't want to see the first scenario of the book, you want to be surprised, you don't want to have any knowledge going into this and want to make it interesting for yourself and you don't want to know anything, then I would recommend you stop the video and don't watch any further, because we're going to be sharing scenario number 1 information with you. So keep that in mind. 3, 2, 1. See you later. All right. So, here it is, Queen's Pawn and Queen's 3 solo setup. We went through in our first video how you're going to use the solo setup to create your deck of solo setup cards. And you're going to be shuffling these. And I've been shuffling these all yesterday and all today for some reason, just because it gives me something to do. All right. The next thing you want to do is obviously find all your pieces and parts from your first page on your order of battle. We have, of course, the Soviets and the Germans and all their pieces we need. And, of course, we have out loose pieces over here. We have our scenario essential information and, of course, our scenario special rules. Scenario special rules. And in this scenario, motorcycle units, when mounted, German motorcycle infantry can carry support weapons but cannot use or fire them, which is a contradiction to the actual rules in the rule book. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure you read your specific scenario rules, because they may change the rules of your game. So, and then the objectives before the Soviets set up. The German player must pick 2 objective markers and place them anywhere on board 79. This means they have at least 1 hex from every board edge. It has to be at least 4 hexes away from another objective marker. Then the Soviet player takes 1 objective marker and places it anywhere on map 79, following the same placement restrictions as the German player. At the start of turn 4, before initiative is rolled, the Soviet player removes 1 objective marker of his choice. So, obviously, here's board number 79. We have objective marker A, B, C, and D. We'll only use A, B, and C. So the German player is going to be coming from over here. He's going to get to these objective markers to win. So obviously, putting them way over there, not a great idea. So he might just put 1 out, say, here. Has to be at least 1 away from the edge. I wish that would have given us a little bit better. Does that mean like this is 1 because it's 1, or it has to be at least 1 full? Yeah, I'm going to put that there. And 1, 2, 3, 4 cannot be within 4 spaces. Is that what it was? It has to be at least 4 hexes from another. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it could do something like that. I can put it out in the open. We want, you know, if we put it there, then the obviously, and then the Soviet player, he's going to be positioned over here. He wants the Germans to have to go all the way to the very end. So obviously, he's going to place his all the way to the back. Now, somewhere at the end of turn, or before the start of turn 4, the Soviets will remove one of these 3 objectives, and the Germans have to get the other 2. Obviously, probably going to be one of these 2 objectives, which kind of makes sense. All right, now that is a part of the setup. Now we're going to go on to actual solo setup. Solo setup here. So we got out all of our things. We got out all of our pieces. I would also recommend you get out all the data cards for anything you're not familiar with. Maybe not for everything, right? But everything you're not familiar with. Like if you're not familiar with the 45 millimeter AT gun, or any of the leaders, or the support weapons, you can get these out. You can get out the data cards for every single thing you have, but I would recommend you just get out the ones you're not really that familiar with, and just have those available for both the Russians and the Germans. Now this is an interesting one because you can see that part of this is going to be the motorcycles for the Germans. And you can see they actually have 2 different motorcycle units. Here is the front side, here's the back side, but motorcycle, when they are reduced, they're going to drop down to a 1-3-20. And when a motorcycle unit becomes dismounted, it's actually going to have a different, which is going to be these cards, which are again based upon either the 1-4-20 or the 1-3-20. And so you're going to get your dismounted units from that. So I've grabbed kind of all the important ones for the Germans as well as the Russians. All right. So let's move our little pieces here. Let's go through how you actually put units on the map now. Because it's not just a simple matter of, oh, put these units in this space, put these units in this space. It's not what it is. So what you're going to do for following groups is we're going to take 2 of our blank ones. When blank ones meaning on the back side, we just have these little fighter pictures. And then we're going to take 1 and 2. And we're going to make group 1, which is going to be 144, another 144, a DP-28, and our Lieutenant Marvon. That is going to be group number 1. And then group number 2 is simply going to be a 144 all by itself. That's group 1 and group 2. And so we're going to need group 1 and group 2 marker. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip all these face down. So we take 2 negative contact markers, and then we take our group 1 and our group 2. We build our group 1 and our group 2. We don't know where group 1 and group 2 are going to go yet. That's what we're doing here. We're randomized. Whoops. Don't you cheat. Don't you look. Here we go. Just shuffling these up. We've got no idea what anything is anymore. We're just going to grab 2 of these face down, and we're going to put 2 of them in 82 C5, 82 C5, 82, which is the map 82. We're going to go look at C5. So C, ABC 5, okay. We're looking at 79 D4, 79 D4. We're looking at 79 I5, which is here. And we're looking at 79 M2, which is interesting. It's right next to where I put that objective. All right. So we have those four just randomly. Again, we're just looking at the information. Follow this setup where we take two negative contact markers and we take our two different groups and we put those in these four positions on the map. And we just simply flip these up to send out where group 1 and group 2 are going to be. Wow, group 1 and group 2 are going to be way back there. So group 1, which is our leader and our DP28 and our two squads, are going to be way back here protecting that group, or that thing. And then group 2, which is just simply a 144, is going to be right there. All right. Then we're going to do the same thing with the second group. The second group is going to be to build these groups together. 144 and a 144 and a machine gun and foxholes. Oh, hang on, I forgot to add the foxholes to group 1. So they're actually in a foxhole way back here. Sorry about that. So we had the leaner, the two 144s, and the machine gun and the foxholes. Okay. So, so group number 3. So we're going to have group 3. We're going to have group 4. We're going to have group 5 and group 6. And then we're going to have 4 negative contact markers. So we're going to have 4 of these. And group 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And we're going to have, again, where is it? Here we are. Group 3 is going to be boom, boom, and that in a foxhole. All right, so that's group 3. Group 4 is going to be that and that. Sergeant Lloyd, where are you, Sergeant? Here you are. We have the 14.5 PTRS. That's not it. That's not it either. Oh, did I accidentally grab that? No? All right. What did I do with it? That's a great question. What did I do with it? I could have sworn I had it out. Did I didn't accidentally give it to these guys, did I? I did. I gave them the PTRS instead of the machine gun. This is interesting that I completely, again, randomized where I was putting these, where I was putting their, I just figured, oh, we'll put C way back here in the corner because we're the Soviets. And then I had no idea that this was going to be where one of their units was. That was just a complete. But you can see how sometimes when you do things with the AI, it just randomly works out great. So that is, let's see, we need this now for our PTRS. Okay. And they will also get a foxhole, which will be here. No, it won't be there. It will be here. That is group 3. That's group 4. Group 5. It's going to be a 45 millimeter AT gun weapon team and a foxhole. And then group 6. It's going to be the same thing. And another foxhole. All right. So once again, we're just going to simply shuffle up 3, 4, 5, and 6, and a bunch of just random blank ones. We don't know where any one of these is going to go, and these are all random setup, which I think is awesome. Because you can actually play this scenario multiple times now, and depending on how the AI sets up, it could play out completely different, right? Completely different. And just trying to make sure everything is all right. Now, we'll just randomly start getting our hexes. All right, C2. So we'll grab one of these. We'll put it at C2. Okay. C6. C6, which again is right here next to an objective. C5. E4. E4. F6. Maybe see the F6, which is there. H4. H4. Let's move this out of the way a little bit. H4. We have I3, which is there. And we have, last but not least, I5, which is with this other unit there, which would be interesting. All right, so again, we're just going along, finding out which X's it wants us to look at. We're going to place either one of those icons in all of them, and some of them are going to be negative context, and some are going to be our actual units. All right, so let's see what we got here. We have, group 5, which is 3, 4, 5. It's going to be this guy right here. So in a foxhole is going to be this AT gun right up front. And we also have nothing there. We got group 6, which is the other AT gun. Woo. Both the AT guns are going to be up front. Interesting. What else do we have? Group 4, which is going to be our couple squads and our leader with the rifle goes there in the foxhole. And nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. So it means, yes, group 3 is going in with that other squad. Awesome. Look at that. Now we've got this 3 squads with the machine gun in there. And of course, they're in the good terrain. Look at that. And of course, again, the Soviets, they're just trying to win by not having the Germans get 3, or they're going to need 2 objectives. But at the start of turn 4, the Soviets will remove one of these 3 objectives. And so the ability for the Germans to get all the way to the back to get that one. Now there is kind of, interesting enough with this setup, there is kind of a passageway up this top. There's not many defenses up there on the top. So maybe actually the Germans might be able to get to that back objective, but it'll be a little bit harder to get to this one because all the Soviets are kind of on this side of the map. So you can see if they remove this objective, they have a nice group back there protecting C. And they have quite a nice umbrella here helping protect this one. This one's kind of, I guess, kind of out in the open. And this is, again, just random choice setup. It could have been completely different based upon where our, where our little tokens ended up. If we would have had some of these up here, then we could have had a completely different setup, which I think is great. I love this setup mechanics. So again, getting ready for your solo game or whether you're playing face to face, right? You want to go through the objectives. The other thing I like to do is I like to go through and look at the different terrain that I have on the map so I can kind of get a gauge ahead of time. Right? What are we dealing with? What kind of terrain? Is there a lot of very difficult terrain to get through so I can not have to look at this chart all the time? I try to look at it before I start the scenario. So let's take a look at what we have here. So the one thing is, obviously with the Germans, we have the motorcycle units. Now the motorcycle units use the O column. So they have 20 movement factors, as you can see here. On their on their counter, maybe if the camera will be so kind today. They're kind of focusing. So it has 20 movement on there. And if the camera would be so kind, the reason I wanted to focus was because we would love to do this today. Yeah, there you go. So they're red movement factor here. The motorcycles are red movement factors. And then you can see what they change into. And actually, this is the wrong unit. It's actually a 1420 that starts off, 1420. And you can see it will, when they dismount, will turn into a 144. But this is a 20 movement factor, and it's red, which means these units actually have something called what the hell's it called? That is a great question. Can't think of the name of it. I'm thinking it's called like hit and run or something like that. I should probably get the technical term for you guys called. What is the technical term of this? Is it called hit and run? What's it called? Hit and run. Yes, see, I was correct. Okay, it is called hit and run movement. So the Germans actually have hit and run movement with all of their machine guns, which allows them to move, do an attack, and then continue their movement if they want to do that. So, and they also have opportunity movement if they wanted to have opportunity movement. Phoenix Knights, what is going on? Yes, I also have a camera that wants to be butthole sometimes. It's true. So, yeah, so the Germans have the hit and run movements on their motorcycles. So you want to keep that in mind. So what I like to do before I start an actual scenario is I like to look at all the units and just look and see what's, oh, okay, this one's in red, so I need to look. What do I need for this? What's the rules? So I got the hit and run movement, right? But then also I have the squads that they will deploy into, and they're also red. So now I need to, what is that? That is obviously going to be assault movement. So these guys can assault move. I can look at the vehicle if there's any vehicles and see what they have, anything special. Again, I could just use the data cards, which might help me as well. I can, okay. All right, I can look and see if there's any rules I need to double check on. Right? Oh, here's this ATR rifle. Right? So what does it do? How does it act? Blah, blah, blah. I could look at the rules of that because that's, not something you have in every scenario. You have PPOs. Right? You have PPOs. And this is a PO right there. Shows you it's a PO, which means it can actually carry units out in the outside of it. And a P represents just a half squad, though. It can only carry a half squad. If it was a PPO, it could carry a full squad on the outside. So you should probably look at a few of those rules as well. Just refresh your memory in case you forget. And of course, it's going to be, for this scenario, it's going to be the big breakdown of the motorcycles. Now, I should mention, as I told you to begin with, that this scenario is special and that it actually breaks the core rules of the game in that when mounted, the German motorcycle infantry can carry support weapons but cannot use or fire them. That is a direct contradiction to the actual rules in the game, which is great and wonderful. And I'm sure they're there for a reason. But you can see here clearly 6.62 motorcycle units. When mounted, motorcycle units can fire support weapons with a firepower of 2 or less as long as the support weapon does not use the OFT. Motorcycle units cannot fire motor when mounted. So it breaks that rule, which is fine. Again, I just want to make sure you are aware that that rule's there, because if you're just not looking and thinking about this when you're trying to set up your scenario, you might miss that. and you might, oh yeah, okay, yeah, blah blah. You're going through the rules, you're going through setup, you're setting up your map, you're putting your units out there. It's just a one they might actually forget to read this sentence, or maybe if you forget it, you forget to use it. But this is always double check the special scenario rules. All right, then we got our solo setup, which we just went through, and then of course, last but not least, we want to look at our terrain, because our terrain. So obviously, a bunch of clear terrain hexes, which is good. We have these little hexes with the little bushes in them. What does that represent? Well, what that represents is brush. It's degrading terrain. It costs the leg unit 1, and it costs our motorcycle units 1 to move in there. Because again, the motorcycle units use the O column. And you can see that on your little card. We don't need to check the rules, because it should say here on the little card somewhere. Where is it? Does it have it on here? Sure, it does have it on here. Hexes, range, infantry firepower, movements, dismounted units, starting and reduces to hit run capabilities, which gives you the nice information on the hit runs. And then your morale up there on the front side and the back side. And if you're hey, what's going on, RJL? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. I'm going to be meeting RJL here in a couple weeks. Well, actually, what's it going to be, about 2 months? We're going to a baseball game. We're going to hang out. We're going to a baseball game, me and RJL. Well, I mean, there'll be other people there too, but we're going to meet up at the Cardinals game. All right. And I guess they're playing, RJL's favorite team, the Yankees. I mean, no, the Mets. That's what I meant. Anyways, motorcycle units. Motorcycle units. We should go back to that 6-point, because I think it actually says that in there. Let's see. Does it say that? Well, mounted units. Mounted units. Mounted units cannot double time, cannot use low crawl. They subtract 1 from the total firepower when firing it. MUs either moving or marked with a moved or HR marker. Add 1 to the total firepower when firing an MU that is not moving or marked. Units add 1 to their OFT to hit die rolls when firing an MUs either moving or marked as a moved or H&R marker. Subtract 1 from their OFT to hit die roll when firing at an MU that is marked, not moved or moved, with a marker or HR marker exposed. Right. I am looking for my rule. And why now? I'm beginning to wonder, why am I wondering why? Oh, here's another important thing with motorcycles, which is a little bit different. Mounted units. Stacking mounted units are considered squads and half squads, but no more than 2 mounted units may occupy a hex. You can have up to 2 mounted unit squads and 1 leg squad, or you can have 1 MU squad and 2 leg squads, but no 3 mounted units. So mounted units are restricted. They can only have 2 of those in a hex. You can't double time. You can't low crawl. You have a bunch of monofires on there. MUs cannot perform close assaults. They must first dismount. Let's see. Mounted units don't spawn heroes. Once you have dismounted, your vehicles are considered abandoned and cannot be used for the rest of the game. Da, da, da. Okay, just trying to find out why I'm pretty sure in the O column that's what they use. I'm not sure why. I can't find the rule right now. But anyways, we're looking at terrain. We just want to double check the terrain. So we got some little brushes, which are all over the place. One movement point for leg units, one movement point for the motorcycles, and then it's going to negate any of the +1 moving or moved marker penalty for target units. So no bonuses there. We have a couple buildings way over here on the left. On the left, there is one building here on this. There's a couple buildings over here. What are those going to do? Obviously, the Germans are going to be able to move up pretty easily to this line here because there's only one Russian unit. Once it fires, it will not be able to fire again. So the Germans are pretty much going to move up onto board, across this board pretty freely. They have some, what looks like some wooden buildings here. 2 to enter for leg units. Open are going to be 12 actually to enter that hex. Light construction building hexes have a black dot in the center. Yep, these all got blacks. That's got a black dot. There we go. All right. Class vehicles with frontal armor greater than 3 can enter LC buildings. This rubbles the hex. We're going to roll a 2d6. If the number is greater than the vehicle's frontal armor, the vehicle is abandoned in the rubble hex. The die roll of 12 always considers abandonment. We got some clear hexes. Again, 1 and 1 to move into. What else do we got? We got a bunch of this green. What is the green? It's the wing field. Cost leg units 2 to move in there. Cost 2 for our motorcycle units. And it's going to negate the +1 moving and moved marker penalty for target units. Interesting enough, Whitfield is blocking terrain. Blocking. So cannot fire through. Cannot fire through wheat fields. It's too hard to see, I guess, through it. Which kind of makes sense if you're on the... It's just, you can't see. There's a million stalks sticking up on the ground. And then we have some light woods. You will notice there is heavy woods, which is a forest, and then they have light woods. Light woods is 2 to enter, and 6 for our motorcycle units to enter. So 6 to enter into there, 6 to enter into there. I do have 20 movement factors though, so that's good. Light wood is degrading terrain, so you can actually shoot through the woods. You can shoot through the woods. It's just going to degrade your shot. And it says light wood contains 4 tree silhouettes per hex. So yeah, if you look, there's 4 there, there's 4 there, there's different combinations. We don't have any woods. We have light woods over there and light woods here. Yes, light woods there. There we go. So that is that's a setup of our scenario. And like I said, I like to cover this stuff before I get involved in the scenario, right? So I have a good idea of what I'm looking for, checking the rules, make sure I'm familiar with the rules, reread up on a few things that I might have forgotten about. What am I supposed to do with this? How does this handle? You know, what kind of modifiers? Because that way, when you actually start the game, you want to be able to play the game and not worry about the rules all that much. So, I mean, if occasionally you might have to look in the rule book for this, that, or the other thing, that's fine. But, you know, try to cover that stuff ahead of time. That way, when you're playing the game, you have a good idea of what everything is going on. And of course, this is a super easy scenario to set up. Super easy. There's not too many complex things going on, but there is the new way to set up the AI with the deck. which we did in a previous episode, and all the cards that go in this deck and which cards depending on the defensive alignment. One thing I forgot to mention in that video, and I want to mention it here in case you did watch that and you were a little confused. Let me see if I can pull out. All right, we have put all the defensive cards in because they have a defensive alignment. If whenever it says whether you should use the silver star or the gold stars, you always use the silver stars. So you're always going to use the silver stars based upon either defensive alignment or offensive alignment. And then if it tells you to use the gold stars, you use the gold stars and the silver stars, obviously. So in this case, if we were told an offensive pastor and gold stars, we would use all the gold ones. If we were told offensive posture silver stars, we would just use the silver stars. So you always use the silver stars with whatever posture you're using, and then if you are told to use the gold posture, you will add those to the silver ones. There you go. So just wanted to cover that in case there was any mass confusion about that. I don't think there was, but I just wanted to reiterate that. And I think that is our solo setup. We can actually get going and we can actually play this scenario now, which we're going to do next time. I'm going to shuffle up here. We're going to have our German units again with all the little motorcycle units. I would also get out your, oops, that's not it. Get out all your 1-4-4s and your 1-3-4s, which are all your units the motorcycle squad will break down into. Once, if a motorcycle squad is reduced, it goes from a 1-4-20 to a 1-3-20. And then if it's reduced again, it's gone. Boom, gone. You also try to find your little hero units for each side, have those available in case you make any units. And then you have your little data cards for anything and anything you want available. You can have those set out. We're just going to put our units kind of over here on the side. And then we can just reference those anytime we want for rules references, or check the backside, check any of the and I think this is great. The new color coordinated range, 2-hit, and penetration value. Everyone always used to get these three confused. Do I look across? Do I go up and down on that? And you can see, like, literally, it's 3-8, and if you go down, it's 3-8. So was it the range was 3-8, and and I always got confused. So actually having those there now as a refresher is so great. It's so awesome. I think that is, oh yes, that's right. This is the range row. It's not up and down, it's across, right? Because, if you play a lot of different games, like I do, you might get a little confused. So there you go, guys. That is a look at Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. Again, late pledges are available on the Lock and Load site. If you have not ordered your Heroes of the Bitter Harvest yet, I got a pre-release copy from Lock and Load. That's why I have mine. If you had ordered yours will be coming soon. Hopefully soon. The Lock and Load has received a few pre-release copies that they've shipped out to a few YouTubers and people that they know to kind of look the game over, give it a go, check out, make sure everything looks good before they get all of the original games shipped over. So yours will be coming soon. If you don't have it, again, late pledges are available. So that, again, is going to narrow down our solo and how you set up a scenario and how you follow along and how you determine where the enemy is going to be located and everything else. So there you go. I think we've got an awesome setup on our scenario. I think this is going to be awesome, good time. I think it's so interesting that like literally the AI decided to put one guy way back here, which, if we wouldn't have had this here, right? It would have been like, well, what is that guy doing way back there? That doesn't make any sense. But we put one way back there. And so the AI is like, oh, yeah, we're just going to randomly out of the blue. And that was the one that ended up going back there. Because remember, they could have been way up here in the front too. So that was so interesting that sometimes the random AI setup is some of the best stuff, right? Because if you have an AI or you have a human player and you're playing against them, right? They've got everything kind of all worked out in their head and they're trying to, they put everything out according to their strategy and everything. Sometimes it's so much better when you get the AI because the AI is random and you get these random setups. And now it randomly changes the scenario because of the randomness. And now I've got to rethink everything. And now, as a German player, I was prepared to, as a German player, I was prepared to bust my guys and have to get all the way to the back to get whatever objective that I knew the Soviets were going to put one way back here. But now I'm like, okay, that's not going to be really that big a deal now because they don't have much over there on that whole side of the map. So getting to the back is not that going to be that difficult. The problem is going to be going through this unit that's back there that's just hunkered down in the foxholes. And I think it's so interesting how the random setup has now created a monster for me to now think and analyze. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And it should be a great time. So we're going to do that in the next episode. Thanks to RJL, Phoenix Knight, everybody that came by. We do appreciate it. We'll have for you, hopefully tonight, we're going to actually get some gameplay in. Again, this is just a primer to get you guys ready for your copies so you understand the rules. You understand how to use the AI. You understand how the AI uses the setup instructions and, kind of give you guys a leg up so when your copy arrives, you're ready to go. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all later. Take care, my friends.